What's going on, guys? Will Blended. In my opinion, this is the end for at least Connecticut drivers. And I'm going to elaborate on what I mean by this is the end, but rideshare is dying in Connecticut. And I don't mean completely when I say rideshare is dying, because things are going to pick up, obviously, next month. School's going to be back, so a lot of the kids are going to start shopping and start taking rides again. But what I mean by dead is dead as we know it as far as earnings. Connecticut is just too slow to act on legislation. They're just simply too slow. And it's funny how Connecticut, they copy everything New York does except the good stuff. They copy all the bad stuff as far as like certain taxes and certain way that things are done that don't benefit drivers. But there's always going to be a few markets that do well in rideshare, in my opinion. Connecticut, unfortunately, is not one of them. Now, there is hope for rideshare in general, meaning that there's a company coming that's supposedly doing pretty well, different business model. Show Me the Money Club, they were talking about it. I forget the name. It wasn't really a catchy name. I want to say it's ID something, or I don't know. It was a really not catchy name, but the name's not important as long as they come through with the benefits. And it's going to be a completely different business model. But it's not going to come to Connecticut. Connecticut is just simply not a big enough market to experiment on. So it's probably going to be the big markets. I think they just launched in Florida. Florida, even though it's not my preferred, I shouldn't even say this, but my preferred politics dominate in Florida. Not my preferred politics, I should say. They are a really, really ride-share friendly state. I believe that's why they launched in Florida. But you could pretty much bet money that New York and California are coming. Those are coming as far as that company, but Connecticut, and don't get me wrong, there will always be some rideshare drivers in Connecticut simply because the new drivers don't understand their worth. Our biggest pay cut was when they started doing upfront prices. I realize that now. I was so excited, like every other driver, just to get the upfront fare information, trip destination, that I totally forgot. I swear to you guys, I totally forgot that Uber and Lyft don't give anything without taking something. And what they're taking is, now because you're not on a per mile per minute rate card, they can take as much money they want per driver. I'm talking random. I'm talking I could be right next to my neighbor. He get a different offer, and his customer get a different offer. I can get the same trip. I'll get a different offer, and the customer might get a different offer. Like, it's completely random. States like New York, I'm here in Minnesota. There's some states out there that could push legislation faster. They can make changes to make this a more enjoyable situation. This is no longer an enjoyable situation. I'm even debating on, when I go private, as far as getting the car, getting the limousine license and all that, to not even be focused on Uber and Lyft. Just focus on building private clients, meaning I probably will do the Uber Black and Uber Lux for a month or two just to steal clientele, but I see no future in Connecticut and rideshare. You know, you could hear the frustration in my voice because I kind of enjoy it. I know it's crazy. I kind of enjoy it. That's why I continue to do it part-time. I'm about to go drive for 3 hours now. Already got gassed up the car, ready to go. But it's no longer exciting. It used to be an exciting thing for me to get out there and see who I'm going to meet. And that was your main concern, because the money wasn't the concern. Your concern was like, I hope I just get some good passengers today. I hope nobody gives me a hard time today. That was our biggest concern. Now it's that money. I can't wait till the kids go back to school, because the single moms aren't going to work in the morning and dropping off the kids at school. That was a big part of our revenue. And now that Uber and Lyft are taking kids, I fully expect that amount to go up. But it's going to make the company more money and not the driver. They simply do not want to pay us fairly because it's all about the math. If they keep skimming off the driver, it looks like the company's increasing profits and doing well. And it doesn't matter, there's a few states that get paid fairly because they're going to take from the states that aren't paid fairly. You see what I'm saying? Like, Uber is everywhere. Uber is everywhere. There's always going to be a small pocket of towns that they're going to take so much money from, because these few states over here got their legislation game together, so they have to pay them more. They have to. But they don't have to pay these states fairly. So they're going to take from these drivers. And new drivers simply refuse to watch YouTube to get the updates, to find out what's going on. My neighbor is a veteran driver. He's been driving us for 7 years. I've only been driving for 5. But because he doesn't watch YouTube, I'm a more informed driver than he is. And he likes to make me think that, oh, he's up on top of things, and, you know, he'll find out something later after the fact and be like, did you know this, and this? I was like, yes, I watch YouTube. And he looks at me like I'm stupid, because all you had to do was watch YouTube. You would have found this out weeks ago. But he simply refuses. There's just some people like that. They just simply do not want to binge watch YouTube videos. They don't. You know, some people just don't watch the news even. You know, you can't force them to watch YouTube. I would never even try to force them to go check out my channel. This is why I'm able to talk about a lot of people in my state, because they simply refuse to watch YouTube. But this is the end. This is the end as far as we know it. The way we know rideshare and the way it used to pay, it's dead in this state. It is completely dead. This is the end of Uber and Lyft in Connecticut, as far as I'm concerned, because the nickel and diamond, literally just last year, guys, literally just last year, for what they're paying me for $4 and $5 rides, I was getting like $9 and $10 rides just last year. And we're talking like 6-7 months ago, maybe 8 months ago. We're not talking like even a full year ago. So they're constantly making changes, trying to figure out what pocket or what state that we can skim from, because these states are giving us a hard time. We have to keep them. But we'll skim from this state and this state. And it's unbearable now. Here's the good news for me anyway. I do have an exit plan. My exit plan is I'm going to focus on my other business, as well as I may get a licensed limousine taxi Uber car, fleet car, whatever you want to call it. But my goal is to not focus on Uber and Lyft at that point. You know, my goal was really to build a clientele, possibly even my own app locally. Because believe it or not, there's a lot of taxi companies, they use their own local apps. So the technology is out there to build your own local app for your own company. I'm thinking about doing that, build out a fleet. We use our own apps. We build our own clientele. Because really, I only need maybe 5 to 6 drivers in my area, and we could completely, keep everybody somewhat happy as far as our clientele, because there will always be some Uber and Lyfts. There will always be some people to take Uber and Lyft, because there will always be new drivers that don't understand that they're not getting paid fairly. So there's money out here for everybody. There's enough money out here for probably 6 transportation companies to come out. You got health. There's a big market for health transportation in Connecticut. There's a big market that private-owned transportation companies could branch out in their own area. And I see the pockets. I can tell you right now, even though New Haven has a lot of taxis, you can still start a transportation company there and still do fairly well. You can start your own company in Hartford. You could probably still get away with starting your own company in Bridgeport, Stanford, Norwalk, because there's so many surrounding towns that are busy in those areas that you'll still make money. So I do see a future in transportation. I just don't see it. When I think about my future, I don't picture me 5 years down the line driving Uber and Lyft just because of the pay. Not because I don't enjoy this or think it could create wealth for other people. It's just because they're going to find another feature to take even more money from the driver. Mark my words. I'm forecasting it right now. There's going to be something else that comes out on both platforms. Uber first. Uber likes to disrupt things first. So it's going to be Uber first. Going to come out with something else, some other bell or whistle that's going to figure out a way to get a few more pennies. You only need a few more pennies. If you take 50 cents from every driver, that's probably $1 billion more right there. So they only need a few pennies. They're going to figure out a way to take more money from drivers. I'll probably be already out by then, but I'm really feeling like the health and medical transportation, and somebody said something to me that really made me think. They said in the comments, that's a risky business. And driving for Uber and Lyft is not risky. We're already picking up medical patients right now. Just because you aren't doesn't mean other drivers aren't picking them up. We're picking up medical patients right now with no medical certifications. We have no authorization to be doing so. We're not qualified to pick these people up. Something happens. They just simply don't want to pay the money for the medical transport, but there's still a market for it. There's still a market for it. And there's still a market for the middleman. Think about it. You could start a middleman company as long as you got clientele. Uber and Lyft will pick up your passengers. These little middleman companies that these people are paying, that they call on the phone like a regular taxi company and order a ride, and these companies actually use Uber and Lyft to fulfill the rides. And Uber doesn't have to tell the drivers. For some odd reason, we have to just accept that we're going to be taking rides from another company, never getting a tip. because it's a third-party company, we're never going to see a tip. And when I explained it to a lady the other day, people try to say I'm begging for tips. You have to explain to your passenger how this stuff works. Once I explained how this stuff works, the lady felt bad, she did, and she gave me a cash tip. Because even she knows it's not fair that we do all the work and not get paid a reasonable pay. And I showed her, I was like, look, this is what I'm getting paid. It was like $3. And I took it just because I wanted to prove a point. I wanted to explain to the customer that this is what they're doing. And it was a third party at that. I only made like $3. And I didn't get a tip until I told the lady, this is what's going on. The lady gave me a tip for more than the ride paid. How is that even right on Uber's part? The lady gave me a $5 tip. The ride only paid $3. Make this make sense. This is the end of rideshare as we know it in Connecticut. Now, there's still a market for transportation. Yes, I believe it is. But I'm already working on my exit plan because next year is completely done. I already know the features. The feature they come out with is probably going to be this year. They're going to come out with a new feature towards the end of this year. I'm already feeling it. Probably right before Christmas. And it's going to find a way to take more money from drivers because Uber has to increase their profits. They're what, 49% profit? They need to get to 50 and 60 because they're greed. They don't realize if they just stop being greedy, the drivers will be happy and the company would still grow. It would just grow slower. I kind of like Lyft's approach. Lyft, they're taking away the surge, which completely destroyed their profits this year. It did. But I think in the long game, I think they're trying to find a way where we can somewhat make our passengers happy and not take any more from the drivers. I think Lyft is already saturated as much as they could take from drivers. But Uber is going to find another way. I guarantee you. I really feel like Lyft is starting to plateau. Because just last year, Lyft was on the verge of bankruptcy, in my opinion. They were on the verge of having to sell and be out. But I think they're trying to plateau by taking away the surge so customers are happy. And they're probably thinking, let's not take any more from the driver. So it's kind of like trying to balance it out. Now with Uber. Excuse me. I think Lyft, this new CEO, he's trying to get his pay increase. But at the same time, I think he really wants to find a way to not necessarily make it easy for drivers, but just not make it any worse, if that makes sense. I think they figured out, we tapped out the driver. We took as much as we could take, at least in most states. And they're trying to compete with Uber on the pricing now. But Uber, mark my words, is going to find another way to screw drivers. And if Lyft, if you follow behind them, you're done too. Now, is this going to kill Uber and Lyft? No. But I believe when this third-party company does finally make it out to all the major states, they're going to be in trouble. Because that's when other models are going to start kicking in. And there's other companies coming from different states. They're going to start kicking in. I probably would be out by then. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm not sitting around here waiting. I'm working on my strategy plan right now. And it's through video content. And if you want to learn how I'm going about it, you can always check the links below if you want to find out what I'm doing. And that would greatly support my channel. Just check it out. Just check the links below, see what I'm doing. And I'm working on a plan for myself, but you're welcome to follow along and build out your own plan, because I am teaching what I'm doing. Because I just don't see a future, at least in my state, for rideshare. This is the beginning of the end, as far as I'm concerned. And I can live with that. I liked it, in the beginning. I still kind of like it. But this is definitely my last year even driving part-time. Now, this is not to say that next year, let's say I've been off the app 3 months, and then Lyft gives me something crazy amount of money, like $300 for only a certain amount of rides. Yeah, I might go out that day. But as far as the day-to-day grind, I'm completely done this year. My goal is to be done before December. I probably want November to be my last month driving, if I could pull it off. So that means I got to scale my main business really soon. So I'm working on that. I'm going to try to get another vehicle and try to get a driver in that vehicle, because I don't have the joy of driving like I used to. It's gone. And Uber and Lyft killed it. If you know understand how I feel, and you agree, or even if you don't agree, hit me in the comments. Subscribe, like, comment, click that bell icon, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you.